Hello everybody, happy St. Valentine's Day. I'm Chris Williams and welcome to my video blog for Monday the 14th of February 2011.
From the Chris Williams portfolio of blogs, this is youtube.com/Mrchrisalf2004 in association with the Kansas Stuck on You eBid shop. Do join me every Tuesday on justin.tv/Mrchrisalf2004. I'll be broadcasting at 8 PM Sydney time, 9 PM London time, and 3 PM in New York. And you can communicate with me on Twitter, where I am Mrchrisalf20, and that will hopefully shape the direction in which the 1 hour webcast will go. So I look forward to you joining me every Tuesday. Obviously, it's going to be Tuesday in London and New York. It's going to be Wednesday in Australia. But I hope you'll know what I mean, and I hope you'll join me at the right time.
So yes, today the British Prime Minister David Cameron relaunched his Big Society ethic, where he will encourage people to do more voluntary work. That's interesting, because with me having such difficulty in finding employment, I am currently in the process of arranging to do voluntary work. So I'm sure that Mr. Cameron would be delighted to know that. But the people who I spoke to about arranging this voluntary work, they said that it's dependent on if they have enough funding left over as to whether they can have me helping them. And that is very interesting, because it's been in the news that a lot of these charity organisations who Mr. Cameron has been appealing to, they say that they are already stretched due to the effects that the government budget cuts are having on charitable organisations. We know that with those like myself who are unemployed, there's going to be massive cuts soon as to how much state benefit you can get, and about time too. I think they give far too much money. I get something like £62 a week, something like that, and it's far too excessive in my opinion. I don't need all that money. Indeed, they're going to bring it in now, so that if you're unemployed long term, like I have been, you will have to do voluntary work to earn your benefit. Well, of course, I'm not in it for the lack of money. I'm in it to get work experience. I'm struggling to find work, but I've got no previous job experience. So do a few weeks of voluntary work that will make me look good for the potential employers, supposedly, because with everyone losing their job, it means I'm going to have to do voluntary work for a considerable period of time, not only to enhance my CV, but also to fit in with the new look work program scheme, which is going to be replacing the flexible New Deal from September 2011. And of course, this is what the whole concept of the Big Society is about. Now, Margaret Thatcher said in the 80s, this is interesting, because I was under the impression that she said there's no such thing as society, but I'm led to believe now that she said there's no such thing as community, and someone doctored his statement so that it came out to be the famous quote that there is no such thing as society. Hence the rather hilarious title for this video blog, there's no such thing as the Big Society, because if you ask a variety of pundits what is the big society. They struggle to explain it. Some say that the concept already exists. Others say that it's likely to fail, and you can't force people to do voluntary work. But I myself, I think that Mr. Cameron obviously wants a similar concept to the primary school that I attended, where it was created by volunteers. It was affiliated to the church. It was opted out from council activities. So, of course, they had to raise their own money through school fetes and that sort of thing. So I think it's more of that sort of thing that Mr. Cameron is looking for. Effectively, parent power sort of running the thing rather than faceless bureaucrats from London or from your local council dictating what goes on. This was interesting from sex education, because I know that the primary school my sister went to, they had sex education in the last year of primary school, but the primary school that I went to, because it was a Roman Catholic primary school, they decided from their own board of governors that they would not have any form of sex education in the school curriculum. But of course, I think now, under New Labour, they were forced to have the sex education imposed on them. I know that the previous head teacher said it's the school policy not to do the sex education, but reading the brochure now as to what goes on at school, they do say that they have moderate sex education curriculums. I think that's been forced onto them. Of course, I think Mr. Cameron is sort of implying that under him, schools like the primary school that I went to would not be forced to do things that they're not comfortable in. They wouldn't have to conform to a strict staple of regulations like what I just described. Now, councils, of course, here in the United Kingdom, they run the leisure centres, but according to an interview I just saw with Mr. Cameron on the BBC, apparently one sports centre close to him has been taken over by locals recently, who also aim to take over the local pub. So that's apparently the big society in action. We've got a few individuals, private individuals, running the pub and running the leisure centre. But think about this. Both are businesses, and it's likely that they're going to get charitable status and be sort of not for profit. But like my primary school, the money that goes out must balance the money that comes in, because then, like the church I go to, which is also charitable and not for profit, it will run at an operating loss, and that means that in the long run it might have to close down. The church I go to is apparently one of the most attended churches in Cardiff, but I was quite surprised to hear that it runs at a loss, because economics dictates that it wouldn't be too surprising if in the future it closes down despite its success. Something can be successful but can be economically unviable. Of course, economics will dictate that the thing will close down as a result. As I say, church not going to close down anytime soon, but you never know these days. And I think that with this big society, you're going to have a lot of start-up charitable organisations that will then fall apart. Here in Wales, there's something called Communities First, which is a kind of charitable organisation, which is similar, I think, in some extent, to the big society, but recently the Welsh Assembly government has suspended all Communities First projects, because it is not generating money to recuperate what has been spent out on the projects to date. So I think that, although the big society is a good idea, some could say that it's been going on for years, but equally I think it's easy to say that it's going to be difficult to notice any positive effects of the big society, and at the end of the day it might just all be words and no action, but we'll have to wait and see. They say that David Cameron's reputation is dependent on this. I think that's a bit drastic, but I think that he means well with his charitable ideas, but exactly who is he canvassing to with this concept? No, he's definitely not canvassing to those who are unemployed. No, saying to them, do voluntary work to get back into work. Or they'd rather be unemployed rather than do voluntary work, I reckon. And no, you have to be very confident about yourself to commit yourself to the type of projects that the big society might be involved in. And no, really, no, you'd have to be a kind of entrepreneur to even try and start something up, I imagine. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay, that's all for this video blog. I hope you join for more over the next few days, weeks, and months. Do check out my live webcast, which is happening the day after this blog. In fact, it's going to be happening exactly 24 hours on from when I'm doing this recording, actually. But do join for more videos over the next few days, weeks, and months. And I will leave you with the gallery. Bye for now. Bye bye.